Hey everybody, today we are going to be doing Ahsoka episode 2, and hopefully the audio quality is much better this time around. We are using a new microphone, as I hope you can tell from the change here. The only thing that I've noticed about this is that it does come with an audio mixer, but I haven't quite figured out how to use the audio mixer in conjunction with the microphone into the camera. So I suppose I could record on the side. I don't know. We'll figure that out. But for now, I'm trying it with the XLR cable plugged straight into the camera and seeing what that sounds like and if we get better quality. So bear with me. Episode 2 opens with Ahsoka looking out a window in some room. I'm assuming it's a hospital. And we can hear Sabine and Ezra and Ahsoka talking kind of in the distance. And it kind of gets louder and louder and louder and louder until she wakes Sabine up. This is reminiscent of when Yoda could hear Anakin in pain killing the Sand People. So I feel like they're doing that thing again where they're really, really trying to drive home that Sabine might be force sensitive. So she shakes up Sabine and wakes her up. Sabine says that she unlocked the map, but the droids that attacked her took it from her. Sabine tells her that the droids destroyed the backups and any data that was collected when they ambushed her. Ahsoka asks how many droids there were. Sabine says there was 2, and Ahsoka is out the door. But not before we get this very hilarious scene.
Wait. You need my help.
No.
You serious?
Our next scene takes us to a planet called Cetos, which has these beautiful trees that have red leaves. It's really awesome, and what Baylan calls a reflex point. Enough of that, though, because we're whipped right back to Ahsoka, who's investigating Sabine's apartment. Now, Ahsoka can hear some of the details of what happened, and I'm assuming it's through the Force. And boy, oh boy, is it real fun for me to see her just use these powers willy-nilly. Now, again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm expecting this to come across a lot of Star Wars people. A lot of these Force-sensitive powers were rare and unique to certain individuals, but now it seems like anybody can just access them if they try hard enough. I mean, at this point, why not just CGI Ahsoka and Sabine into the end of the Star Wars movies? Might as well. She could be a Force ghost, too. The chicken cat is outside, chilling, and Ahsoka's like, wow, this guy looks a lot like Don's best friend, Gillum. She goes inside to investigate more, turns on a holo message from Ezra, and then the droid tries to get the drop on her. The cat lets out a growl, and Ahsoka slashes the droid's head off. Why would the droid have stayed there? Why would it have remained behind? Now, you could say, like, okay, it was there to finish off the job or whatever. But if the bad guys are saying that they are trying to make a clean escape, they're trying to stay ahead of Ahsoka, they know that the interference of someone like Ahsoka, who's Jedi trained, would cause all kinds of problems for their plans. Why would they purposely do stuff like leave a droid behind, a droid that's recording information and has memory, to be caught so that they can then track their investigation to where they're actually going? You see what I'm saying? You see how it doesn't make sense for the droid to have stayed there? They got the map, they got away. If they made a clean escape, quote unquote, why the hell would they leave the droid behind? Apparently, if you cut the droid the right way, then the memory will stay intact and Sabine can pull that memory out of there. Now, this also runs into another problem I have with this episode, where she mentions that the head could explode from tampering and trying to get the memory off or whatever. Instead of doing the smart thing and leaving the very crowded hospital in a city, they decide they have to do it right then and there. The robot says it's a bad idea, and then the two people who should be also against this, the former Jedi and the general of the New Republic, both seem to be okay with it. And you can say this is supposed to be some kind of like cute little scene and just a joke, not to take it so seriously, but I can't, because it's live action, and the show at every corner tries to hint and tell me that this is something to be taken seriously. So what the fuck? Why would they tamper with this robot that can explode in a hospital in a major city? This scene doesn't hold weight, and it's because we aren't given enough from the actors to care about the backstory that they're trying to tell us. But also, if they're making decisions like the one they're making about an exploding head in a fucking hospital, and no, I'm not going to let it go because what the fuck? Why would we ever invest in this? Back on Cetos, Morgan Elsbeth approaches the flex point. Baylan says this wasn't built by Jedi, and he wants to know who made it. Morgan explains that it's a relic from a distant galaxy. She does some hand movements, and the orb levitates and a map slowly appears. The map shows exactly where Admiral Thrawn is banished. Baylan seems skeptical, but is willing to trust Lady Morgan's word. Morgan says something about the Eye of Sion is on its way, and Baylan replies that Marok, the Elden Ring wannabe, will complete his task. He also hints to his apprentice that power awaits them when Morgan completes her goal. He sends his apprentice to help Marok with the mission on Corellia. I know this is random, but who builds this shit? The maps that are built in ancient times but lead to men in the present that have been banished recently, no one else seems to question this. If some Indiana Jones, Laura Croft type is like, hey, Don, look at this ancient map. It leads to where your brother has been banished. My first question would be, why the fuck does Nostradamus know about my brother and where he's banished? How does this track him? Who knew that you could build something then that would lead to a man that would be important in the future? Like, how does this work? Why? How? What?
Are you careful with your personal records? Does your computer ever seem to have a mind of its own? Have you ever visited a Chinatown section in a major city? Have you ever visited a flea market? You ever visited a truck stop?
Yes, I'm going to keep using this same exact bit, because if Ahsoka doesn't feel the need to be ashamed of itself, I don't feel the need to be ashamed of myself. Hera and Ahsoka meet on Corellia, and this dickhead says he's too busy to guide them through the inspection. Hera makes a threat because she's a general, and we get this wonderful gem.
Do the facilities still employ any of her former staff?
Of course, there's no other way to remain operational. An empire doesn't just become a republic overnight. You will still find ex-imperials at every level of the new republic government.
Why? Why the absolute fuck would you not get rid of the ex-imperials? The logic here is that the Republic doesn't, form from an empire overnight. No fucking shit. But you still have to weed out all those loyal to the empire. You don't fucking hire Nazis to important positions of government because it's easier than starting from scratch. Hera takes this time to convince Ahsoka to take Sabine under her wing. I don't think I got to mention this in my review of the last episode, but yeah, this has been a thing since episode 1, and it's really annoying, but everyone tries to annoy Ahsoka to get a Padawan, to make Sabine her apprentice, and to not be alone. Hera really does her best to stretch as much as possible the utility of Sabine. Ahsoka says she isn't ready, and that when she's ready, she'll know she's ready, and blah, 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 blah. We cut back to Sabine, we peel off the bandage, and the lightsaber burn looks just like you'd assume. It looks like a cigarette burn. And she's back up and at him like nothing ever happened. Hu Yang, the robot, like everyone else in this show, takes the time to convince Sabine that she needs to go and continue forward with her Jedi training and partner up with Ahsoka. Sabine says Ahsoka didn't come for her and she came for the map. No shit. She came for the map. Hu Yang tells her that she's literally worse than every Jedi candidate he's ever worked with, and then he tells her that she's not wasting anyone's time but her own by not taking up training and moving forward. Anyway, Dockyard Dickhead explains that they stripped Imperial destroyers and used the parts and sails to fund New Republic reconstruction. Then Hera inquires about a giant hyperdrive. Dockyard Dickhead says it's classified, Hera says she's a general, and this whole thing is very passive-aggressive, to the point even Karens would cringe.
Oh, there it is. Classified.
Classified. I'm a general. Nothing's classified to me.
I'm sorry. I cannot unseal the document without authorization.
Well, then I'm authorizing it.
I'm not sure you can.
Want to bet?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Ahsoka asks if they have any HK class droids, and Dickhead says they don't have assassin droids. But one of the droids working there lets out that she has seen such a droid and it interfered with her work earlier, and that it's departing on a ship that has the hyperdrive. Hera demands that they ground the ship, but one of the ladies working there is like, I can't do that. We've already given them permission to take off. And some other guy who is a random dipshit that we were very suspicious of when we walked in pulls out a pistol and yells as loud as he possibly can for the Empire. Now, if I'm trying to get the drop on someone more powerful than me, like Ahsoka, who has Jedi powers, the last thing I'm going to do is announce very loudly that I'm for the Empire. I'm going to pull out my pistol as sneakily as possible and put some rounds in her ass. They dispatch these dudes, take off after the ship. Ahsoka runs into Marek, and they fight. Hera pursues the hyperdrive ship, and they have absolutely the worst aim in the history of the world. Ahsoka kills an assassin droid while fighting Marek. Hera says they can't shoot down the hyperdrive because then it would fall into the city. Love how they're being responsible now, but they weren't being earlier with the exploding head in the hospital. I guess some things are just more worth it than others. Our fight scene develops until Marek retreats into another ship and takes off. Hera's still following the hyperdrive, and Chop, her droid, throws a tracker onto the ship in space. He throws a tracking chip through space onto the other ship.
What? Come on! God damn it! You got me shitting me!
Sabine returns home to get her armor, and she lays it out dramatically so that we can get a real nice cinematic look. She then decides to cut her hair because she doesn't like long hair anyway. Ahsoka and Hera are wrapping up on Corellia. Hera's blown away that ex-Imperials would still try to get the Empire back, because that's mind-blowing to her. Ahsoka returns to her ship where Sabine is waiting on the holo to tell her that she's ready. The tracker says Cetos is the planet to go. She picks up Sabine, and we get this.
Take us out, Padawan.
Well, what can I say? No, seriously, what can I say? I have nothing. Morgan Elsbeth is on her station, which I'm assuming is the Eye of Sion that they mentioned earlier. Morgan seems to have a cooler projector than they do. It has like this cool moving sand effect that I really like. Baylan says Ahsoka showing up troubles him, and then he uses the Force to see that her determination is very vivid. He then says that killing her would be a shame since so few Jedi are left, which is kind of cool. And he says it's not sentiment, but truth. Again, also another really cool line. And then our show closes on that. Well, I really don't know what to say. I mean, I'm not surprised that Sabine survived. I said she would. They're not going to kill her. It would have made too much sense for a lightsaber to kill her. My main issue with this episode, which is probably a recurring theme, is that people do things that don't make sense or align with who they're supposed to be. There's also a lot of things that are just being forced for the sake of being forced, you know? I don't understand why this Sabine being Force-sensitive thing is being forced so hard, you know? Just like it's being forced that Ahsoka has to have an apprentice or a Padawan. It almost seems to me like the smarter choice would have been to show Ahsoka and Sabine traveling together, developing and becoming a Padawan and apprentice and all that stuff. Maybe start off where Rebels was, Sabine with the Darksaber and all that stuff. But I guess you can't do that when you randomly shoehorn in Sabine giving away the Darksaber to Bo-Katan. And from what I remember, there's inconsistencies in that too, right? Like, Bo-Katan won't just take the saber from the Mandalorian, but she did from Sabine. Or, you know, there's this thing about, like, you can only win it through combat or something, some bullshit. I don't know. Either way, Episode 2 is a stinker. Nothing happens. And I'm not looking forward to Episode 3. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining me. Hopefully the audio quality was much better this time around. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff to help out the channel. And if you didn't, I appreciate you sticking around this long. And hopefully one of the future videos or other videos on the channel keep your attention and get you to stick around. Or just let me know in the comments, and I would love to hear your feedback. All right. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Ahsoka Episode 3.